From FFA state officer to ag teacher, Florida native Trevor Williams is on a mission now to bridge the gap between farmers and consumers with his podcast. It's called The Farm Traveler, and it's an outlet for producers to share their stories.
Every day we come across right and wrong information about what goes into our food. What's organic? What are GMOs? Are there antibiotics in my meat? A lot of misinformation out there that can not only negatively impact your wallet and your health, but also the jobs of the hardworking men and women in the agriculture industry. You see, no matter who we are or where we are, we've all got something in common. We've got to eat. So here on the Farm Traveler podcast, we want to find out exactly how our food is made. So to do that, we're going to interview farmers, ranchers, basically anybody and everybody in the agriculture industry, and ask them how our food's made, what do they do, and how can you, the consumer, make better choices when you're buying food for you and your family. So join us here on the Farm Traveler podcast, where we learn exactly what goes into our food by interviewing a bunch of really cool people and hearing what they have to say and learning about their expertise and any really cool nuggets of wisdom that they have to share. Can't wait for you to listen to our really cool episodes and join us on this really cool journey. Thanks. We'll talk to you soon.
Actually, we'll talk to him now. Trevor joins us for an update on this initiative. Thanks for joining us, Trevor. What compelled you to create this podcast?
Well, thanks for having me, Christina. So, I taught high school ag classes in Daytona Beach, Florida for 2 years, and I moved back home to North Florida. And I've always known that there's this huge communication gap between the farmer and the consumer. And a lot of people are going to social media or to podcasts. And so my wife was like, hey, you should start a blog and then a podcast. So we started it and have been interviewing a bunch of really cool people and then hopefully educating people about where their food comes from. So it's been a really cool experience so far.
Absolutely. You even get the family dog involved. We love seeing that in the video that we presented just a moment ago. Speak to the communication gap between farmers and consumers. Some people don't even pay attention to its existence. Why do you think it's something that needs to be addressed?
Yeah, I think no matter who you are, where you are, no matter where you live, you've got to eat, whether you're like a vegetarian, whatever kind of diet you have. And it's important to know where that food comes from, what goes into it, and there's just so much misinformation. I mean, right now we live in the news, we live in the era of fake news, and there's a lot of misinformation out there that can not only impact your health, but it can impact the people that grow your food. And I think people need to do a better job of kind of figuring out where their food comes from and kind of making sure that information is very factual because it's very important to your health.
Absolutely, and you've actually had some notable guests come on to help you spread that message. Talk about some of the past guests you've had.
Yeah, we've had a lot of really cool guests. We've had Dr. Kevin Folta with the University of Florida talking about his work on GMOs and studying the benefits of GMOs. We've also had a friend of mine up here in Northwest Florida talking about the Florida timber industry and how that's going. And we've interviewed a bunch of people from across the country, but probably one of the craziest and coolest, we interviewed a dairy farm in the United Kingdom, and their operation is called Vine Farm Dairy. And so instead of collecting their milk and shipping it off, they actually have a milk vending machine on the premises. So people in their local community can come up, bring their own bottles, collect milk. So it's so cool. It's saving transportation costs, and it's like a really cool educational opportunity where people can come get milk straight from the farm. And so we've interviewed a lot of really cool people, and it's really cool to kind of see the face of agriculture across the country and even across the world.
Yeah, you're taking it global. I love that. Now, what are your future plans? I'm sure you've got some ideas for the podcast going forward, and how can people find it and listen to it?
Yeah, well, we do weekly episodes every Wednesday. We're trying to do some more Ag 101 educational podcasts on there, and so those will be in the works in 2020. We're slowly trying to put together like a little web series, kind of where we actually physically go to farms and see what's going on there. But if people want to find us, we're on iTunes, Spotify, basically your favorite podcast player, whatever that might be. Our website is very simple. It's just thefarmtraveler.com, where we have little articles and blog posts about all of our episodes. We also are very active on Facebook. It's just facebook.com/thefarmtraveler. And also on Instagram, farm_traveler. We're very active on Instagram, kind of showcasing what we do and behind-the-scenes process of the podcast and all that.
All right, well, we can't wait to see where it goes from here. Keep us up to date, won't you? Trevor Williams with the Farm Traveler podcast. Thank you so much for spending some time with us today.